Welcome to Keep It Clean for Happier You. This series, Asked and Answered, is dedicated to your challenges and your wins from the home front. Stay with us. Coming up, your mail. Welcome. We're back with continuing our conversation with guests Joyce Saltman, Diana Hall, and Matt Beyer on our new series, Ask and Answer, answering your questions from home. Here is one of them from Adriana. She writes, started a cleaning business this year. I'm having a hard time estimating the job. Also not sure how to deal with some nasty people. I was giving an estimate to the husband who was showing me around and kept saying, this is nothing. That will take a few minutes and so on. Finally, I snapped and said, if this is easy, why don't you do it yourself? I need the business, but not sure I can do this job. Don't like people negotiating price with me. But how do I figure out what to charge and what it takes longer? Can I ask them for more money? Okay, this has so many facets, and I have so many answers for this, for Adriana. Starting with Diana. Diana, your thoughts on this?
So this one kind of struck home for me because as an interior designer, it's constant negotiation. I have clients who, because it's all about intellectual property as an interior designer, who you present a design plan for and they try to source it themselves. So it can be very difficult. So how I've combated that, for the most part, every once in a while I run into a client, and currently I'm dealing with one in particular. You need to have clear and concise processes on how you run your business so that if your processes are the same, then you avoid some of what Adriana is running into with somebody who's trying to negotiate or trying to undermine what she does. With the clear and concise processes, pricing structure. So you need to have that pricing structure in place. So when you have that pricing structure in place and it's concrete, for example, when you meet with your customer or client the first time, bring some sort of a packet with you, a handout, something that already has the pricing. Then it's in black and white and it's clear. And then also, I think it's important with your pricing structure to discuss in that what is covered and what isn't covered. And again, then there really is, not a lot of room for negotiation, and actually might even alleviate the negotiation, because this is my business. This is how I work. This is what I charge. I would love to work with you on your project or work for you. But this is how I run my business. So be really clear and concise. And again, I think having a handout of some sort at the beginning is a great way to solidify that. And then when you leave the customer and client you've met with for the first time, they can go back and review your pricing structures, and then they can make a sound decision for themselves. Because let's face it, you don't want to work with anybody who doesn't see value in you and tries to undermine you. So that's not the customer or client for you.
Matt?
Yeah, I agree with everything Diana's saying. What I would add to this conversation is that when I started organizing business, I knew I was really good at organizing, but I had no business background whatsoever. I was an art director. I was working for somebody else. And so, yeah, I had to figure it out as I went. One of the first books I read is the classic The E-Myth Revisited, which you guys might know. And what it talks about is how not only to work in your business, but on your business. And they talk about three pillars. In every business, there's the technician, the administrator, and the visionary. So everybody's a technician. If you're good at cleaning, then you're doing the cleaning in the cleaning business. The hard parts are the admin part, which is everything, including bookkeeping and invoicing. The visionary part is having an overview of what you want your company to be and where you want it to go. And the more you build your business, the more you can delegate the technician parts, maybe the parts you love the most, but you can remain the visionary and control things. And you can also hire out the administrative people in your business, whether it's you do have a team, or it's just you have to think of all three of these pillars because they've got to be taken care of in order to avoid these problems and prevent you from getting angry at your clients, preserving the reputation as we were talking about. So I recommend the book. It's The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber.
Oh, thanks. Joyce?
I loved everything that both of my predecessors were talking about. And I especially want to validate what Diana was saying, because one of the things I, as a public speaker, always sent out in advance, depending on what kind of a group it was. I had one price for nonprofits. I had one price for a 1 hour versus a half a day versus a full day of speaking and workshops, and then figure out how many rooms, yay much per room. And what was really interesting to me is how many times people would say to me, well, Joyce, we don't have this much money. And I would say to them, because I really did not want to show, precedence on some groups over others. If every school had this much money was what the price was, that's what they had to find. And I said, well, why don't you see if you can get a sponsor of a local organization or what have you? I can only tell you, from 1983, when I did my first talk, I was doing 100 talks a year. And not one time did the people not somehow magically find the money. Okay? So the fact of the matter is, people will always try to give you less than what you're asking for, but I was asking the same amount for each, whatever the category was, a nonprofit organization, a church or a synagogue.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense to me. The number of rooms, price per room, and if one room is really enormous that you will count that as 2 rooms and you tell them that in advance.
Yeah. You guys are answering from the business point of view, and I'm thinking of the cleaning business. And the point is, Adriana just started the business. It's the first year in business. Estimating a job is the toughest to do. And it's not easy because you just started, and I don't know if she's working with a team or she's on her own, you have to estimate how long it's going to take you to do this job. And if you have other people, you have to pay them. You have to make provisions for paying for supplies. You have to sit down with a pencil and piece of paper and write down all your costs and your profit, because you're doing it to make a profit. Now, talking about the husband, I think it's the best thing is when somebody's calling you for a job, you need to ask questions. You need to assess the caller, the potential customer. As the homeowner should be doing the same thing with you. Ask questions. If the husband is the only one and you actually have a couple there, make sure both of the husband and wife are there, because the husband says, oh, this is nothing, this is nothing. I mean, this is very annoying to me. However, I would not snap at the husband because, again, we talked about this in the previous segment, and Diane, I think, emphasized that customer is always right. You cannot change that. You cannot snap at a customer. You cannot say, well, why don't you do it yourself? That's inappropriate. That's not the proper behavior. Maybe this is not the business for you. When you're in business with people, you have to like and enjoy people. And the price is your price. If they add things as you go along, and Diane, please correct me, or Matt, or Joyce, if they add rooms or projects, you have to stop them and say, we agreed on this, and this is in black and white. Always write down what the customer needs and wants. And once you do that, and if you didn't assess the job rights, you have to eat it. You cannot go back and say to the customer, you know what? It took me longer to do exactly what you wanted, and now you have to pay me more. It's unprofessional. I have lost money, but I never went back to the customer and said, especially the first few years in my business, it's unprofessional. You can't go back and say, you know what? I did the job, and now I need more money.
I want to add something that I meant to say. And I used to get this question a lot from students. because in the interior design program, I taught in the BFA program at Pear College, which is no longer, a whole nother story, but students would always ask me about, my particular business model, which is sole proprietorship. And that's a common business model for interior designers, and what to charge. So I think even in Adriana's business, I think it's important to do your research on what your competitor is charging, so that you can come up with your own price structure, but you have to remain competitive. And some things to consider, or one thing is to consider, is demographic. I live in Connecticut. I live on the shoreline in Connecticut, and I want to remain competitive with other interior designers. So where somebody might charge X amount of dollars per hour, or however they use their price structure, I don't want to come in twice as much as they do, because you're never going to get hired. So you need to really do your homework, understand your audience, know the demographic, know where you're practicing your business, and what is common in that area for price structure.
Yeah, I think know your audience is key. You have to figure out the area. When I started the business, I think Matt mentioned that you make a lot of mistakes. The first few years, I thought there's something wrong with me. Frankly, my father thought there's something wrong with me mentally for starting this business with an MBA. But I felt strongly that it's much needed, as a lot of people think they know what to do when it comes to cleaning, and they don't. And they don't have this. It's a skill, like cooking. It's a skill. It's something that you need to learn. And just like Matt mentioned, I thought because I'm very organized and very clean, I know what I'm doing. It's like saying I know how to cook a good dish, and now I'm going to be chef of the future. It's like not happening this way. And it's a challenge, and it's not easy. And I made a lot of mistakes, and I lost money. But the customer, for me, then and now, it's always right. Always, always. And if I had a disagreement, I walked away. I walked away from the job. Not from the job, from the customer, from the estimate. I said, I'm sorry, we can't do it. This is our price. Because I went to everyone that had a pulse, on a house. Things changed. I don't know, Matt.
I know this, that the less people get you to charge, the more they demand of you. It seems like it shouldn't be that way, but that's the way it is. Whereas, don't be too afraid to overcharge. Every few years I raise my prices. It's like, am I going to lose customers? I don't. And maybe some, but I get more. And it's, I think it's my biggest piece of advice is if you're resisting raising your rates, don't, because people see more value, and usually they don't question it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that for sure.
Because now I teach, and I get paid for teaching housekeepers and house cleaners. Trust is the foundation of every relationship. And in this business, it's a must. And a lot of people are attached to their people, but they don't know what they're doing. So they hire me to teach them how to clean their home properly. Adriana, I hope we answered your question, and wish you luck with your business and success, but be patient and interview people before you show up at their door. Make sure both husband and wife, if it's a family, they're involved in the process. Now we have quick questions, guys, that this is so interesting that so many came in. And I wrote down a few. Diana, do you want to read the first one?
Sure. First question, what are the must-have cleaners and tools for the house, and where can I find them?
Okay, I have a theory for that because that's my business. But also, people question all the time, what's the Greek cleaner, what is not a Greek cleaner, what's going on. Have 5 must-have cleaners or less, and 10 must-have tools or more. So cleaners, less is more, and the opposite is for tools. The must-have cleaners are around 5, which number 1 for me is vinegar, distilled vinegar. Bleach is number 2. Multi-surface cleaner is 3. Window cleaner, a must-have, and an abrasive cleaner, we cannot mention brand names, is 5. 5 or less. And frankly, today, so often multi-surface cleaners also, they can do window cleaning too. And for tools, the number one tool for me, it's not even a tool, it's an apron. I cannot work without it. You need an apron. We're going to post all that online. Bucket, Joyce mentioned she has a special mop that she uses. The usual suspects, toilet brush, scrub sponges, scour pads. And one other item that I think it's a must-have is a step ladder or a folding step ladder. Don't get on top of chairs. To me, that's very, very important because I made mistakes and boo-boos and I fell into people's chairs. Then I had to buy them a new chair or fix the chair. So, and microfiber cloths, if you use more microfiber cloths, you're going to use less cleaner. Don't know what you guys are using or you have questions.
I remember going back a few years ago when I had somebody cleaning my house, and I was sitting actually in the chair I'm sitting in now, and my view is all the way down my hall on my second floor. And I saw what appeared to be some sort of a yellow streak all the way down my wool carpet. Remember this, Nicky? And I got up and I went over to it and I looked, and it turned out to be bleach on my wool rug. And I have a very long hallway that runs down.
And it's just, you had just put it on, new.
Brand new rug.
Yeah.
And Nicky, you said to me, and what it turned out to be is the person that was cleaning was just carrying the bottle. When you said bleach, I just brought back that memory. She was walking down the hall with a bottle of some cleaning product with bleach in it, but it was leaking. And you said to me, do they walk around with the little bucket? Because they should have everything in that carrier
Yes.
so that things can't drip all over. So had that happened, it would have avoided a whole lot. And the end result is I had to have all that carpeting replaced. So
Very important to have the right tools.
yeah.
Matt?
I do have a favorite cleaning tool, but it's hard to describe without giving away the brand name. I can tell you that it's a white block.
Can I give you another use for it?
Sure.
As an interior designer, white sofas, it's everybody's favorite. And in fact, I had a furniture installation this week, and that little white block dried.
Yeah.
If there's a stain on a white sofa, you just use it dried and it takes the stain out. So my white glove installers brought the sectional up and put it in my client's bedroom. Beautiful sectional with a chaise lounge. And as we were standing there admiring it, I saw the big mark across one of the cushions. And I said to them, do you have that little white block? And they ran out to their truck and they brought it back in and they went like this and it came right out.
Great for sneakers.
Everything.
Beautiful. The team has a cleaning kit with it, and because last thing they do before they leave the clients is they need to clean the table with it, because we could be in a really dirty garage one day and this beautiful Greenwich home, the living room the next. It's got to be a spotless, clean table that we're working with to maintain our organized reputation. We're not not cleaning, but you associate cleanliness with organizing.
You do. Yeah. Because you need to know the basics of cleaning if you're organizing, because what you're going to do after the space is all cleared up. Joyce, any thoughts on the must-have cleaners and tools for my house? You mentioned your mop, which is super duper.
Yes. Microfiber.
Yeah, microfiber.
Rags as well.
Yes.
Because they clean the counters and they clean mirrors with just water.
They do.
A lot of uses for water with microfiber.
Yeah. This is question number 2. Which vacuum, in your professional opinion, is best? Do you recommend an upright or a canister? This is my territory. So I don't like to give people advice on the vacuums. All I can say is vacuums come with a bag or bagless. When you have a bag, the filter is inexpensive. And when it's a bagless vacuum, the filter is high cost. So you're going to end up paying the same if that's price your point. And I think I mentioned that before at another segment. Do not buy a vacuum online. I think we had somebody with a question. You cannot say, I have a good vacuum and my house is clean, because it's not. It's like saying I have a good pan, I'm the best cook. And I have good pans, and I'm not a good cook.
You're a great cook. I can attest.
Well, thank you. You're kind. But what I'm trying to say is go physically to a local vacuum store and spend the time, because you're going to spend more time later on trying to figure out how to work a vacuum. We have clips on dirtdirtgoaway.com of short clips on, especially on vacuums. I actually went to my vacuum store in Westport, and we did a few clips with them live, because it matters how to service the vacuum yourself. And if it's too complicated, maybe it's not for you. And I don't know. I think it's the highest ticket price item you're going to purchase for your home, and you need to be wise. Don't buy the one that's $1,000, because I remember there was a vacuum years and years ago that weighed a ton. Back then it was bargain news, and every newspaper that had them on sale. Maybe you know which vacuum we're talking about. It was a canister, and it was heavy but very popular, very well-known vacuum. And it did a great job, but it was so heavy to carry around, and people got rid of it. So make sure the vacuum is light. The tools are not attached to it, because that makes it heavier. And change the bag. Or if it's bagless, take the dirt out. Whatever goes in has to come out. I think it's common sense, but it's really not common sensey, because my vacuum people in Westport, they told me this lady came in and she said, this vacuum is junk, it's not working, and she hadn't changed the bag ever. So the vacuum at some point stopped working.
Go figure.
Yeah, so she was having a fit at the store and says, you better fix it, or, this is no good. And Bob back then, he said, did you change the bag? He goes, I didn't know there was a bag. I mean, where do you think this dirt goes? I mean, it's common sense. So let me know your thoughts, guys. These are my 2 cents as a professional. I've been to many, many homes that maybe I can count in one hand the vacuums that work properly. We're going to come back with your thoughts about the vacuum, the biggest ticket item. Stay tuned for our next segment. You've been listening to Keep It Clean at dirtdirtgoaway.com. We'd like to thank our sponsor, Gabriel Tax and Accounting, a family business for over 65 years, providing bookkeeping, income tax, and payroll services to businesses and individuals from Fairfield County and beyond. Check their website if interested, gabrieltax.com. You have an open invitation to write to us your challenges and wins from the home front using the contact form at dirtdirtgoaway.com. Bye for now. Till next time, keep it clean.
You can listen or comment to Keep It Clean for a happier you anytime at dirtdirtgoaway.com or on radio1400.am and on all social media platforms.